Chapter 6. Paxton was astonished at how amenable both his mother and sister were to the prospect of his traveling to Paranor. This felt entirely wrong, but the matter was settled almost immediately. Once Sebek had made the suggestion and explained how important it was to the Ardris, neither said a word in opposition. Perhaps it was the young druid's earnest demeanor that convinced them. Perhaps he used magic. Whatever the case, his persuasive skills exceeded anything Paxton had ever seen this side of Arcannon. His mother, so reticent about the druids beforehand, was suddenly excited at the prospect she envisioned would be generated by her son's newfound importance. His sister, in typical fashion, seemed more interested in Sebek himself than in his news, and dismissed Paxton's departure with a casual wave and a cryptic remark about staying out of trouble, as if he were the one who needed to worry about that particular problem. At least he got his mother and sister to agree to take a few days to visit his mother's sister in the town of Agave at the eastern edge of the highlands. It would take them away from the capital city while he was gone, hopefully removing them from any immediate danger of another visit from Arcannon. "Are you sure about this, Mother?" he asked her when Sebek had finished speaking with her and had gone back out onto the porch with the fresh glass of ale she had pressed on him. "You don't mind my going? You won't worry about me?" "I will always worry about you, Paxton," she said, "but I won't think there is any risk to you here. I don't sense any duplicity in this young man. On the contrary, I think him honorable. He intends you no harm. You will be fine, and so will he." So he went, walking down to the airfield with his sword strapped across his back and his travel pack slung over one shoulder, less certain of what he was doing than either his sister or his mother, but doing his best not to show it. Sebek's vessel was a hover-crafted double cast with good lines and black-dyed light sheaths, bearing the emblem of the Fourth Druid Order, emblazoned in gold. A crew of 3 awaited them, trolls serving in the Druid Guard, chosen by the Ardris herself from among volunteers who all came from the same village in the Northland and whose ancestors had served in the Guard before them. Big, hulking men, they spoke not a word to either Sebek or Paxton, but simply went about their business, hoisting sails, tying off lines, powering up the diapsin crystals in their parse tubes, and setting out. They flew through the remainder of the day, crossing the broad expanse of the Rainbow Lake, navigating the blunt peaks of the Rune Mountains, sliding down the jagged length of the Dragon's Teeth to the Kennan Pass, and completing their journey to Paranor by midnight. By then, Sebek had recounted to Paxton a great deal about the work of the current Druid Order, which far exceeded anything Paxton might have imagined. Most of what he knew had to do with the Order's ongoing efforts to find and retrieve errant and lost magic throughout the Four Lands. Sebek mentioned this in passing and quickly moved on. Those who joined the Order did so to learn magic and to assist with its care and protection, but they were required to complete many other duties as well. Upkeep of Paranor was a major effort, much of it undertaken by the trolls of the Druid Guard, but some tasks required the more skilled and talented hands of the members of the Order themselves, particularly in the rooms where the records and books were stored, and in such chambers as the Cold Room and the Tower Watch. The older members of the Druid Order offered daily instruction, and the younger were required to attend and practice what they learned. Reading the Druid histories was a part of training, mandating a familiarity with the events that had led the Order to its present state, from the inception of the first Druid Order to the present. Before anyone can begin to master the use of magic, even in the smallest of ways, they first have to understand the nature of its usage. Sebek explained. How was it created in the first place? What was its intended use? Does it always function as it should? Is it reliable? Are there ways to keep it in check that will protect you, well, not only the user, but also those nearby? He smiled. It's complicated, but fascinating. It didn't work that way, for me, with the sword, Paxton thought. There were visits to the cities of the Four Lands to learn of their histories and cultures, including meetings with their leaders and governing councils. Avenues of communication were opened and maintained with an emphasis on a sharing of information and ideas. The secrecy that had once shrouded the Druid Order was slowly but steadily being removed as an obstacle to better relations with all of the races, and cooperation was being fostered on all fronts. We don't hide behind our walls anymore, Sebek continued. We work side by side with people and governments in all of the Four Lands, even the Federation. But Paxton had heard that relations with the Federation and most of the lower Southland were still tense. There was a willingness to communicate, but mostly he sensed that both Druids and Federation officials wanted to keep an eye on each other. It didn't help that the Federation had outlawed all use or possession of magic in the Southland, or that its avowed goal was to do away with magic entirely and turn back the clock to the days when science was the dominant tool for stimulating progress in the world.